consider long-term for short-term rentals. The coronavirus pandemic has turned the tourism industry on its head. Hotels are struggling to fill rooms while the restaurants and events are shut down. All leisure travel is prohibited in coastal communities where short-term rentals like Airbnb are popular. They too are feeling the pinch. So basically, prior to the economic crisis, short-term vacation rentals were the pride of property owners. It was only going up. Fast forward to today, people are scrambling. So the pandemic and the economic situation has massively changed the tourism industry. Less people are moving around, and the people that are moving around are changing the way they do it. So many towns are shut down while others have slowly begun to open. States like Texas are open. However, leisure travel is not generally on the top of a family's priority list. I guess someone could argue that people have been in quarantine so long they would want to, but either it could go either way. So, all right, let's move on. It talks about a bit about California. Local trends show that renters are continuing to serve guests, and some are even pivoting to providing longer-term stays. You can rent a private section of someone's home on Airbnb. In the early spring, he fielded a slew of cancellations from international travelers who were expected to come this year. So we were supposed to have people coming in from other countries into the U.S. For tourism, and it looks like that went out the window. This guy here, he purchased his home with the intention of to rent part of a vacation rental. Without the prospects of travelers during the pandemic, he was worried about the lost revenue. Then he got a request from a first responder who needed a place to isolate for a month from her family to keep them safe. Shortly after, he got a similar month-long request. It was a chance to keep his place rented out while abiding by the local health orders. But he said this wasn't his only option. If the secondary market went away, we'd rent it long-term. That's our backup plan. So basically, you have a lot of the property owners who would own short-term rentals are transitioning into longer-term rentals. And even, I guess, in terms of hygiene and keeping their family safe, this woman here was a first responder. She wanted to self-quarantine during her time working away from her family. So that would definitely keep not only herself protected, but also her family if they were separated for a bit and she was in a longer-term rental. So they get a better, they can take their safety and health precautions while the landlord can get some money as well. Let's see. Some rental experts are speculating that short-term landlords like Oliphant Wave may want to transition to longer-term rentals, as we said before. They aren't seeing as many differences in short-term rental listings. On average, there's been about 3% reduction in rentals, understandably so, considering the people that would be traveling, are traveling less frequently or are just deciding to stay at home. So, however, it's not all doom and gloom. It can be a tremendous opportunity. Again, a lot of those first responders are looking for places to stay. They may want to isolate for a month. So that renting that long term as a backup plan could be better than just eating the cost. So it's a little bit counterintuitive because there are a lot of public health bans on short-term rentals, which you're seeing across the country. What we're not seeing is everyone stopping this practice at all. They summarize 3 different types of renters, all of whom are adapting to the pandemic differently. The first, mom and pop renters, who typically share the space with guests and can't easily change their renting practices or transition to a long-term rental. So they're basically just kind of set in place with their short-term rental. The second group rent out a separate space that they still use and are unlikely to give up to a full-time renter. The third group is poised to transition to a long-term rental. These are what Binzer calls professionals and may have one or more rentals run as businesses. But even they are waiting to see what long-term effects of the pandemic would be deciding to convert. So again, like many things in our world right now, a lot of things are in limbo. Definitely from the perspective of a rental property owner. And then his take here says the market will come back. It'll be coming back with a vengeance. People have been locked up for so long. Going to vacation rental seems less risky than going to a hotel. So I guess a lot of the people, maybe logically, it would make sense that having a longer term rental would put you at a less exposure of getting the virus, considering that, the turnover, people are going in and out of a hotel, checking in, checking out, checking in, checking out. Whereas, if you're renting, if you're doing a monthly rental, a 6-week rental, the risks there are substantially lower. So he's talking about this is similar to the last recession. The economic fallout could create an increased need for supplementary income while also prompting a renewed focus on affordable housing. He projects even greater conflict between the two groups. I think the cities and counties are going to have to side with the residents. Housing is a human right. You're going to see more conflict and more restrictions on short-term rentals in the future. They expect housing prices to increase on the coast as more people seek to leave densely populated areas and can now work remotely. Now, note, let me go to the top here. Note, this is in the Half Moon Bay Review. This is from California, so a bit different. However, we do have some similarities here, namely with people talking about leaving certain areas and moving somewhere, telecommuting, working remotely, whatever it may be. And they conclude with that type of transition could be good for housing supply, at least in theory. That said, meaningful data is not evident or available yet. So we're still trying to figure out exactly what this would mean for the market, but it's definitely great food for thought. And let me know what you think. Take care.